So I am just supremely blessed with this divine companion, all of us that are here, and how we feed and sustain each other, most especially in our spiritual walk. And then the food is even more satisfying, this delicious life.
It's wonderful.
Through the years, we've seen so many people, like one of the first people that we started giving food to back in the early 80s was, we found them because they were walking alongside the road picking up cans. The mother was picking up cans for the son. People were alcoholics, and there was just a lot of stuff going on there. Through the years, that same person became one of our food distributors and cleaned their life up. Their child came to our ministry, and God changed her life, and then they became people that could just like really sow back into the community and really help other people. And that's not through a food ministry. That's through the love of God being demonstrated and seeing their needs as you're giving the food. So as you give the food, maybe they need prayer, maybe they just need to talk,
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Isaiah 58, and that's the one thing that we are striving, that God would fill us with his love for the people.
The heart-to-heart connection.
Right.
And we're all in this together and just blooming each other well, loving each other well.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope, and there's so many twists and turns, but just the intent and to love one another well and to give that to every, as a woman, my first journey was I want to give this love only to my husband or to my children.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn to just give it to everybody.
Right. It makes a big difference.
That's what the
it?
empty nest gave me, was it just gave me permission to, as I mourned the end of that chapter, I was able to recognize that love is what's so important, to give it to everybody.
Right.
And if you do over-focus it on one or two, it's too much light. It's actually too much. It's almost a spiritual necessity to explode it and expand it to the greater good.
Exactly.
And therein lies the ministry, the business, Teresa. I discovered this word when a husband and wife are aligned in a ministry and a business is known as a business.
That's a good word for it.
That's pretty good.
And it's a very deep calling.
We've had a couple of those.
It's really quite a blessing, a humble service. And to keep it that way, as we just excited about what our community is going for you on the horizon, well, the daily, every day is the distribution and the network that you've created.
Yeah, there's a component of what we do that we really haven't mentioned, because this little place in the desert reaches out to many countries, invites guests from other places to come in, or trains people from this valley and close to here how to be prepared to meet the needs in third world countries. So often the culture shock is because, one thing, if you see all the need and you have nothing to give. So we try to offer, if they just know how to raise the sheep, how to care for the chickens, and how to do these practical things, then they already, you don't feel overwhelmed because you have something to give.
Well,
and Teresa really is the one who directs the international part of our ministry. It's called
International. All Nations International. And that is leadership training.
Exactly.
For self-sustainability.
Exactly. The beautiful thing about it is we have been, because of the road that Agnes built before us, we can't go and say we built this road. But because of the road that she built before us, she spoke to leaders, presidents of different countries, and also pastors, etc. We have been able to continue on that road and visit, Africa and the Philippines and different places, and share with these people who received a vision as a result of meeting her, to go back in and share with them, help help train their leaders, help work with the orphanage or the different places like that. And we just have seen an amazing blossoming. I think we as young people have to take that vision to a greater dimension, and we've been able to see that vision being taken to a greater dimension For instance, one woman whose name is Gertrude. Gertrude came in 1989. She was working for the office in Uganda. And by coming and meeting Agnes and coming out to our place that was at the time on 90th Street East, she was so moved by what she saw that she wanted to do it in Uganda. So she went back and somehow happened to, through a brother and a sister dying, she ended up with 25 orphans in her home. And so then when she was in her home, she got the idea, okay, I can do what I saw them do, so she started a school. That school has now turned into 600 orphans, and not orphans, but 600 needy children.
Yeah.
And then there are 70 of those children that are actually living on site, so she's actually built a boarding school as a result of it. And so then what we do is we go
And they
once
have
a year.
100 acres of land that the students also help to farm,
Farming, yeah,
that
farming.
sustains the school.
So what we do is our ministry went through a major change in 2004 when we moved from the east side to the west side. But the thing that was so beautiful about it, it was almost like a nut that was just completely closed, and then the Lord just busted it open. So we work with the community, and we take people from the community, different states, different countries, to Uganda. Sometimes they're dentists, or sometimes they're nurses, or sometimes they're just people. We take people from different communities to Uganda, to Africa, Nigeria, or wherever else. We've been asked to go to Zambia right now and help someone recover a situation that they have where they started building an orphanage and they lost the personnel, so they've asked us to come in and help put that together. Or the Philippines. We've just done so many different things, but it's so exciting because people have dreams. Someone in India had this dream. She says, Teresa, we were there. Gordon and I were there. She says, I've always wanted to go to Uganda. I just started laughing. She's a dentist. Okay, the next year, let's go.
And she did.
And she did, and it was just like so beautiful how we're able to just like get together like people in Nehemiah's wall. None of us gets credit for anything, but God gets all the credit.
Amen.
Jerusalem is built, and that's what's important. And then we get together and then we go over and we work with these other people. Now, the training aspect is that we want to make sure that when we travel over there, a few things that we can come back. We want to come back healthy.
It's good to come back alive. Yeah.
It's good to come back healthy. It's good to come back alive. And it's good to have something in your hand when you go. So the training that we do, part of the training that we do, the international training that we do, is to help empower people to be able to do that. And we also have local outreach that we do to people, with people that are in the community or in the United States that come. Sometimes they come here, sometimes we just work with them via phone or whatever. It's actually a mentoring program. We call it Train to Gain. So some of the people that want to say their path has been going a way that they don't want it to go might get in touch with us and say, hey, we're really struggling. Can you help us? And so we work with them and we give them like an accountability program where we do intense mentorship and help to see them blossom, and then they're also able to go to Africa or go here, go there. This last January, we had 1 month of intensive training. We call it missionary training, but it's just beyond that, because if you go overseas and you just throw a temper tantrum because you're upset, what's going to happen? Right. And we don't want to send fake people. But our God is so big that he's able to deal with those issues in our lives and deliver us from those demons of greed or whatever. And we're able to see an amazing difference so that when people see us, they can see the love of God and they can see Christ in us. And that's one of the inherited things that we were allowed to inherit from Agnes. It's like when people saw her, they really saw Jesus. And I'm not going to say people see that when they see me, but I'm going to say that I'm trying.
We're trying.
and we're also
We're diligent, aren't we?
we're trying, and we're also sharing that with the community locally, nationally, and internationally. And for me, that's like exciting, because working with the community is exciting, but for me, I'm very passionate about individual people being able to be empowered to be who they are and fulfill those dreams that they believe that God put in their hearts.
Oh, I think the whole global aspect is that song that most of us grew up with, is he's got the whole world in his hands, and back to that common thread that we all have.
Right.
And if we can speak the language of love without words, just doing it through our eye contact and body language, then our spirit is speaking the loudest.
Right.
And we do, I don't want to limit the infinite. I want to be a part of it.
Right.
Because I know that's where my sustainability is.